Here on the JoyNews channel, we're taking you live to Parliament because the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, is before the Public Accounts Committee. Let's go live to Parliament now for that interaction.
10 billion in 2017 relative to the previous year.
Okay, my last question. Page 24, 2017, page 24. That is table 16, interest on correspondent bank. Are these figures here in dollars or in different currencies?
These are in dollars, US dollars.
All of them are in dollars. So where you see an account at the correspondent bank that says, for instance, call deposit Bees Barsley GBP, now Great Britain pound. The figure should be read as dollars. Anybody from the team can speak.
Yes, Chairman, yes. The unit of reporting is in dollars.
So at the point of conversion, the rate that you use doesn't matter. We don't need to see it how you arrive at that conversion.
Well, the rates are there, but the unit of reporting is in dollars for our reserves.
All right, that will be all for me for now, for 2017. Okay, Vice Chairman.
Mr. Governor, just that you mentioned in 2016, there was a decline in the investment rate because it was an election year. Are you suggesting that this year being an election year, you don't expect any investment in the country anymore?
Well, I think this year is a unique year, as you're aware. I mean, we have the COVID-19, which is an unprecedented global shock. So this year, this is really the dominant factor in our economic outlook. It's more of the impact of the COVID-19.
Honorable Joe, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you and then Honorable Sam George, they will move to 2018.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, page 5 of the 2017 report, because I'm from the forest area, very much interested in forest products. The bank, BOG did not report on bauxite. Cocoa is here, gold is here, manganese is here. I want to find why did not report on bauxite and other forest products, or if the forest products are not important. Then 2017 under US millions, gold is 0-0. Manganese is also 0-0. Can you explain why to the committee?
Mr. Chairman, as I said earlier on, quite apart from the foreign exchange receipts and payments, we also compile the balance of payments. So flows that are associated with timber, bauxite, and all of those other non-traditional exports are reported in the balance of payments. Now, for 2017, at the beginning of this meeting, I think this issue came up, and we referred to the change in policy in 2017 to allow the gold mining companies to send their export receipts directly to their bankers rather than surrender to the Bank of Ghana. So that's the reason why it's zero there. But the gold receipts are reflected in the commercial bank's foreign exchange receipts.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, how about my bauxite?
As I said, bauxite is reflected in the commercial bank's receipts, which are captured in the balance of payments, not in the statement of foreign exchange receipts and payments by the Bank of Ghana.
And that policy started from 2017?
The policy of non-surrender to the commercial banks, yes.
2017?
2017, yeah.
So if you have not reported on that in 2016, what will be the reason for that?
Sorry? I'm trying to understand the question again, Mr. Chairman.
I'm saying that the non-surrender policy
Yes.
started in 2017,
Yes.
where those receipts are paid to the commercial banks.
Yes.
So you don't capture them as part of the foreign exchange receipts and payment here. And I asked, when did this policy started? They said 2017.
Yes.
Said 2017.
Yes.
And I said, if that is the case, then I expect to see the reporting of manganese and the rest in the 2016 report.
No, we are, let me explain. The treatment of manganese and timber and bauxite and all of that, the original, we never really reported that from the Bank of Ghana as part of the flows coming to the Bank of Ghana. These were already being surrendered to the commercial banks. So it's only in the case of gold that there was a change in policy to allow the gold mining companies to also repatriate to their bankers rather than repatriate to the central bank.
I'm asking this question because this manganese issue and bauxite has been an issue here at this committee, where one member of the committee alleges that Bank of Ghana did not disclose receipts or proceeds from bauxite. And it was carried. It was an issue. And Bank of Ghana had to write to the committee to explain. I believe the amount was $41 million to explain. That is why I'm giving the opportunity for this thing to be explained well, so that nobody reports that you do not disclose how much you receive from bauxite.
Well, we always disclose how much we receive from all exports. It might not be in the statement of foreign exchange receipts and payments of the Bank of Ghana, but for the banking system as a whole, we do that in the balance of payments report.
All right, Sam George.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chairman, I want to find out from the governor, does forex depreciation or the CD depreciation play any role in boosting the profit or the profitability of the central bank?
Well, it depends, right? Sometimes on the net foreign asset position of the central bank, if your net foreign asset position is positive, right, you have more assets in foreign exchange than liabilities. Obviously, if the CD depreciates, as a net foreign asset holder of foreign exchange, you are in a better position. On the other hand, if you look at it on the net liability situation, then if the CD depreciates, you have a bigger problem. So it depends on the structure of the accounts at a point in time.
So will it be fair to say that when the CD depreciates, for example, let's assume that you're holding Forex for some of the commercial banks to the tune of $100 million US, and at the beginning of the year, the CD was pegged at 5. So then that was 500 million Ghana cedis equivalent. And then the CD depreciates to 6 by end of year. It then means that in CD reporting, you're reporting holdings of 600 million. And that 100 million is going to reflect as profit in the operations of the central bank. Will it then be fair to suggest that at times the central bank allows for depreciation so that you can post profit?
Let me say that the objective of policy at the central bank is about stability, price and exchange rate stability. The central bank does not look at profitability as a criterion. So we focus on the mandate of the Bank of Ghana. And that's what takes, priority in all the analysis and decisions that the bank takes.
Chairman, I appreciate the governor's response, but the point I'm just seeking to make here is that does the CD depreciation play any role in the reporting of profitability? Even though that may not be your principal, you do report profit, and it's widely carried when the central bank declares profit. In fact, at times you borrow to government, as we've seen recently, on the back of your profitability. Does that profit emerge from, or does the depreciation of the CD affect that profitability?
I think the profitability of the central bank depends on many factors. If you recollect, in 2018, the central bank made a very large loss. This was due to impairments of liquidity support that the central bank had given to commercial banks that became insolvent. And that is what dominated the financial outcome for 2018. In 2019, we did not have a lot of those types of impairments. And that is the reason why the central bank was not, was able to generate a few more profits in that year than the year before. So it's not entirely true that it's only driven by the performance of the CD.
That's fine. I get your response. So basically your response is that that may be one factor, but not the only factor.
Exactly.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair to agree to. And Chairman, a constituent says I should ask you, when he heard that you were coming back here today, that her daughter is in school, an international school here in Ghana. The Bank of Ghana has issued warnings on transactions in US dollars in Ghana. The school bills in dollars, like many other international schools and businesses in Ghana, but they would ask you to remit in cedis so that it doesn't appear as though they are flouting the Bank of Ghana's rule. However, the fees fluctuate every time there is a fluctuation in the exchange rate. Is that not a clever way of beating around charging in dollars, since their fees or the remittances in cedis are not fixed but are dependent on CD or currency fluctuations? What is the position of the central bank on such practice?
As you're aware, the central bank has come out very clearly on trying to declare dollarization illegal. And we've gone around trying to stop people from pricing and invoicing in US dollars. But what you described is a situation in which the school is indexing its charges to the exchange rate. I mean, they can decide to index their charges to the consumer price index. That's another way of measuring what the change in cost of living is. And we find out that people are more interested in, indexing to the dollar rather than indexing to the CPI. I think that if you look at the stability that we are seeing in the exchange rate, maybe they better be indexing on the CPI, which, if you look at where the inflation rate is today at 10.6, that's much higher than indexation to the dollar.
Governor, am I hearing you
and that, I think, reduces the incentive for dollarization. When you have a stable currency, that is not depreciating very fast. You don't have, widespread dollarization because the incentive is not there.
Governor, as to the question of the stability of the cedi, I think that those watching us will tell that at the beginning of the year, you could buy the cedi at your bank at 5.2, not interbank rate, if you are buying from the bank. Today from the bank is 5.9 or 5.7, depending on whether you are buying or selling. So as to the stability of the cedi in 6 months, that is open for public conversation. However, what I'm asking you as the governor of the central bank is, does the central bank not have a problem with people indexing their prices to the USD and allowing currency fluctuations affect pricing in cedi? Then that would negate your directive of not pricing in dollars. Then it means your pricing in dollars directive is cosmetic. If you have no qualms with people doing indexing against the US dollar.
We already said that we do not encourage invoicing in foreign currency. We have already said that we do not support dollarization. But pricing generally in the economy, it's on the basis of an assessment of conditions. And typically, the consumer price index, which is the rate of inflation, is what would normally be used as the benchmark, even for wage adjustments. When the labor goes to negotiate with their employers, they look at the change in the cost of living and use the inflation rate as an adjustment factor. So all that I'm saying is that now that we have a relatively stable currency, the incentive to index the US dollar is not there. But yes, it's illegal to be pricing in dollars.
Chairman, the governor is tactfully not addressing the critical issue I'm raising, which is the issue of, is it lawful to index against the dollar? Because take, for example, if you are indexing against the CPI, you may not see a significant or any movement within a particular term, which is most times a 10-week period from the commencement of the term to the end of the term, when I'm using school fees, for example. However, if you're using indexing against the US dollar, you can realize that within a period of 2 to 3 weeks, the fees will continue to fluctuate. Because yes, you may talk about relative stability, but the cedi is depreciating. Is the central bank governor telling the committee and Ghanaians at large that there are no punitive measures for indexing against the US dollar? So that then we understand that, fine, so long as you don't invoice in dollars, but you invoice in cedis relative to a cedi depreciation or currency depreciation, it is fine.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
That's the import I get from your answer.
No, I did not say that.
So please clarify for me.
I'm saying that dollarization is illegal. You are not allowed to invoice in US dollars.
So, Governor, how then do we deal with the issue of people indexing?
We are now moving to 2018. So, members, let's focus now on 2018. Honorable Rasmubara.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Governor, may I refer you to page 4 of the 2018 report. And if you look at paragraph 8, you see a clear decline, if you like, of exchange inflows from 2018, where we had 8.696, compared with 2017, where we had 10.825.0 billion. Now, what has accounted for the downward movement? And Governor, would you say it has had any impact on the stability of the city within this particular period?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we are comparing 2018 to 2017 foreign exchange inflows. And as I said, there was one significant inflow in 2017. This is the bond inflow, the 2.2 billion bond inflow. And that is the reason why 2017 was much higher than in 2018.
What was the impact on the stability of the city?
The impact of?
The impact of the disparity in the figures ensuing from 2017 and 2018, and its impact on the stability of the city within that particular period.
Oh, it helped improve the stability of the city. If you recall it, in 2017, the city almost stabilized immediately after the bond inflow of 2.2 billion. But I think that we even saw some appreciation in the first half of 2017.
If you check page 14 and 15, pages 14 could be very low, which may not give near to accurate figures in terms of analyzing these data.
Well, the projection normally would be done at the beginning of the year for the end year. And then during the year, there are new developments and new decisions that are taken, which influence the flow of the year. So sometimes you see that the projections vary significantly from the actual outcome at the end of the year.
It is about the reliability of the projections that the central bank puts out. And as you may have alluded, external and internal factors may affect the figures. But it is hoped that the central bank would give at least a near to accurate projection in a way that would engender a lot of confidence in the system.
These projections are revised every quarter. I'm not sure that the report, reflects the revised projections.
I'm sorry, Governor, your response is a bit muffled. I don't know whether it's because of the marks.
I'm saying that normally the projections will be revised every quarter.
Chairman, I would ask one more question.
Let me ask a follow-up question on the inflow. Then you can go to your next question. Mr. Governor, you did indicate earlier that the high inflow, foreign exchange inflow in 2017, which resulted in a capital receipt of 4.7 and an invisible receipt of 4.3, you attributed them to the confidence that the community, the business community, had in the economy after the 2016 election. So that resulted in about 10 billion inflow, even though the cocoa inflow was less than what was received in 2016. Now that the inflow dropped in 2017, will you also say that this same community is beginning to lose confidence in the economy?
No, Mr. Chairman, I won't say that. I think the argument that I had made had to do with the commercial banks. If you remember, the commercial banks flows, that we saw a 10 billion increase in flows that had gone to the commercial banks. And this is the broader banking system flows, not just looking at the flows in the central bank.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Governor, in the first place, you are now bound to answer all questions. You can ask your lieutenant to answer some questions so that you can rest a little. But my question is to you. Talking about inflows, in 2016, we received 2,574 from cocoa. In 2017, it dropped to 1,749, a difference of about 820 million. I want to know what has changed. And I think in 2018 also, the cocoa inflow also dropped. What is the cause of this drop? I'm not sure it is because we are not buying more cocoa. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we explained this earlier on and attributed it to a higher cocoa syndication, loan syndication by Cocoa Board in 2016.
I know, but I'm saying that the purposes of this loan have remained the same. So does it mean that in 2016 they were doing overestimation, or what do you think was happening?
No, in 2016, Cocoa Board borrowed a higher amount from the syndication.
That they are using now. So why are we able to reduce it by almost 825 million?
This year, I think Cocoa Board is, the syndication is 1.3 billion.
That is the crux of my question.
Yeah. So it means that we are probably financing more of our cocoa by using domestic resources, using the domestic banking system to finance cocoa purchases, and relying less and less on the syndication.
But is it possible to rely, have you any evidence of we borrowing from the domestic market to buy cocoa?
Could you repeat that?
I'm saying, do you have any evidence of we borrowing on the local market to buy cocoa?
Oh yes, Cocoa Board issues cocoa bills. Bank of Ghana issues cocoa bills on behalf of Cocoa Board to facilitate local buying of cocoa, in addition to the syndication.
Okay, thank you.
Which of the two is cost effective? Domestic borrowing, where you crowd off credit for the private sector, compared to the syndication? Which of them is costless?
No, I think that's an important matter, primarily because interest rates in Ghana have been relatively high, and therefore Cocoa Board had found the syndication to be more cost effective. But I think that as we bring domestic interest rates down, then, financing the entire crop from domestic resources would probably be better.
Should we take it from you? You are the governor of the Bank of Ghana. Should we take it from you that you are saying that the borrowing from the domestic source now is better than syndication?
I'm saying that ultimately we have to work towards financing cocoa purchases from our domestic banking system as we bring inflation rates down.
But you haven't answered my question. We are talking about now. Your answer is about the future. We should bring the interest rate down to make it cost effective. What is the current situation? Is it cost effective now to borrow from the domestic source to finance?
It is not cost effective, depending on the LIBOR rates that we get on the international syndication. But we are working on it. We are trying to bring domestic.
If you are to advise the chief executive of Cocoa Board, which option will you have? Ask him to go.
The bulk of cocoa purchases is done using the syndicated financing.
Okay.
That's where the bulk of the...
So that is what you will advise?
For now, yes.
Yes. We are talking about now?
Yes.
Okay.
So, again, following from Chairman's question, which option is better in terms of financing cocoa purchases?
Repeating the same question. He already asked that question.
Your answer was not satisfactory, Governor. And I'm asking, from where you sit, saying it bluntly, which option is better for us? And why should we not be taking that option now?
He has answered that question. He says that purchasing the bulk of cocoa through cocoa syndication is the best option. He said that already.
Very well, Chairman.
So you can answer a further question, why are we not doing that? That question wasn't posed to him.
Governor, if your answer to the committee is the very best option available to us, isn't it an indictment that we are not doing the right thing?
I don't think it's an indictment that we are not doing the right thing. We have already accepted as a country that we need to stabilize our economy, bring inflation down, and bring interest rates down. We have crafted a policy framework which is working at delivering that. So yes, we think that in the medium term, once we are able to bring all these nominal numbers down, the impact would be on interest rates broadly.
How much time would we need? Are there any timelines?
I think you're seeing the improvements in the economy over the last 3 years. We've been able to bring inflation down from over 20% to 10, nearly half the rate of inflation. So we are making progress.
Chairman, let me do a couple of public interest questions. A few days ago, Governor, I got very excited when I heard you talk about gender-specific policies. And then it was about something else. If you look at the face of the Bank of Ghana, it's a bit macho. It's male-dominated. And so if the Bank of Ghana is talking about gender-specific policies, these are areas that we expect that, the bank would be taking steps to bring about gender parity. I mean, the governor is a man, that's all right, very qualified. His deputies, so it doesn't sit well with a lot of people who are champions of gender equality. And so at the Bank of Ghana, we expect to see at very senior management, women holding positions?
Well, thank you very much for that question. I think that this is the information that came out on one of the senior people in fintech department, talking about technology and women being more comfortable with, call-based technology rather than text message-based technology. This is the argument she was putting out. But as you're aware, we have a deputy governor who's a lady. More than 50% of our heads of departments are ladies. So at the Bank of Ghana, yes, at the Bank of Ghana, we are fairly gender balanced.
That's interesting to note. Finally, Mr. Chairman, the banking sector cleanup. There's still